Call for a motion to enter into open session. Motion seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Please rise for the saying of the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're gonna begin with a recognition of our unified sports. We'll have introductions and afterwards we'll take a short break for some refreshments.
Thank you. I'd like to call Mrs. Profrock up and she can introduce however many members of the team as she would like. And if I could, before I turn it over, Mrs. Profrock and the group that are sitting here tonight, their work started not too long after Matt McKenna stood before many members of this board and presented the idea of unified sports. And that was just a few years ago. And that night, the Board of Education that was in place at the time voted immediately to start unified sports in our district. There was no thought, there was no, let's wait a meeting. They thought that this was going to be a really great thing for our district. They voted that night and the results have been quite incredible, as you'll see and hear a little bit tonight.
Speak into the mic, is that okay? Oh boy, this is awkward. I'm sorry for my back being with people. So I'm really happy and excited to be here. And this aspect of my job, I feel like I could talk about for 2 hours, which I know some of you want to get home tonight. So I'm super excited and proud and could go on, but I will try to move quickly. And I just want to share what a blessing it is when we can always share good news about what we have going on here. And this is great news, not just good news. There's about 500, I'm guessing, I want to say it's about 500 schools in the entire United States that have received an award for a national champion banner school. And I'm really, really happy to stand in front of you today and say that we, Niagara Wheatfield, are now one of those schools. And we have a brand new banner that we'll be displaying probably for the next 3 years. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what that entails, because it's certainly, I'm not taking the credit. This is not, my work per se, but it certainly has been a lot of efforts, not just one day or 1 week, but this has been a lot of variety of events, all of which promote inclusion and Niagara Wheatfield students being Niagara Wheatfield students, regardless of strengths and weaknesses, which is always the goal here. I'm a teacher as well. So of course, that's our goal. So what happened is I was meeting with Section 6, my husband and I coach unified bowling, and we had a meeting and I came across Mike Peglici, who runs the Special Olympics for all of Western New York. And he was talking to me about what we had going on in Wheatfield. We were making small talk before the meeting started. And I was raving to him about a lot of our programs and opportunities that we have for all of our students here at Niagara Wheatfield. And he said, "What about a champion school?" And I said, "I don't know what a champion school is." And he goes, "I think you're already doing it. You just haven't been recognized." So what I shared with Mr. Lalanich, and I think one of the things I'm most proud of for this award is we didn't change us or what we do with kids to get recognition or to get an award. This came about because of what we had already been doing before we knew any award or recognition even existed. So I think that's really cool. So I just want to share with you quickly what I presented at the national level in order to get us to receive this award, to get approval. Not all schools get approval, and it's kind of a lengthy process of the application. But there's 10 different standards of excellence that your school district has to demonstrate meeting. And the first 4 are around our unified sports. But the other components, the other 6 components are not sports. It's all the other great things that we do to show that we are a unified school district providing opportunities for all of our students all the time, not just, after school or not just during a sporting event. So step 1, or the first of the 10 components, is that we offer unified sports, which we certainly do. We have for many years, almost, I may be misspeaking, but I think almost since we as Section 6 started offering unified sports, we jumped right on board with that. So we've had basketball, and we have bowling, and bowling will be starting up soon, January, right after first of the year. And then you have to show that your unified sport is like any other sport in terms of competition, attendance, practices, expectations, academics, competitions, etc. So we certainly do that. And we actually, our first year participating in unified bowling, this is just some pictures of Coach Profrock and Veronica, who's here with us tonight, because our first year, we actually won the entire section, which was really cool and exciting. We have to show that our team meets, not just for a day or a week, but it's a regular length of season, like any other athletic sport that we offer here at school. You can see that we have over 30 team members, and I can tell you that that number is just growing and growing and growing. We have some of the largest unified teams, bowling, basketball, and now bocce of any school district in Section 6, which is really awesome. This is our unified basketball team, and Coach Miller and Coach Capicilli are here with us today, and they have been coaching this team since it began. And again, over 30 members, I'm guessing, and climbing. Kids come to us, partners and athletes. We don't have to do any recruiting. This is just something really special that benefits all of our students that they want to be a part of and they gravitate towards. The third piece is that Special Olympics offers specific certification. So you have to demonstrate that you have coaches who have gone above and beyond and done that certification, which we have. And then we want to show and prove that we recognize our unified sports just like any other sports. So we demonstrated that we have awards, we have senior night, we had a formal banquet at Antonio's last season, which was really special. We have obviously the yearbook status, participation in pep rally, and things like that. And now the rest of these components are all the other really good stuff. So forget unified sports, that is wonderful. But do you do stuff during the school day? Do you do stuff year round that promotes not only inclusion, but student-led inclusion? And that's what we had to demonstrate and prove. So our school district for years, led by Mr. Azzarella, has a unified club. And the unified club meets like any other club after school, before school. And the unified club, it has a board like any other club. And the board consists of members with and without intellectual disabilities. That's just showing, meeting and activities and what they plan, being recognized in the yearbook like all clubs do. Whole school engagement. This is a list. I don't even know if it's all encompassing because there's so many things to do and I can only talk about so many things in my presentation at this level. But these are some of the many things year round that our students from the Unified Club have led, not only have participated in, but really cool, have led and have promoted amongst all of the school, all the students in the district. This is something that we all appreciate and benefits all of us. If you have not heard, we have a really special cafe here that runs every Friday. And I just put my order in today for this Friday, so I can't wait. But our students with Mrs. Dixon run a cafe every week. And this cafe works with and benefits all of our staff and all of our student body. And everybody appreciates it. Come Friday morning, everyone looks forward to it. I know you're well aware of our Falcon carry closet and our food mart. I'm sure there's been presentations on that before, but our students with and without disabilities are a very important component to the success of the caring closet and the food mart. So we wanted to acknowledge again how all students in our school district are benefiting not only within our school, but our community as well. This is our students getting together with the Unified Club. We've partnered with the Rotary Club, so we interact with them, and this was a lasagna making party to benefit the Rotary Club. Again, just another all-school engagement activity that was student-led and student-planned. And then some other things, the polar plunge will be coming up. If you're really brave, that's coming up. And we can always do more, and that's what we're working on. We are blessed. Like I am I like to public speak and I like to organize and I like to take the lead on things, so that's why I'm here, but I would be so remiss not to acknowledge the work of Mr. Azzarella, and Mrs. Dixon and Mrs. Hart, who are beyond amazing with all of our students inside their classroom and outside of their classroom. And a lot of the things I've just kind of scanned through with the slides or mentioned here tonight are because of their efforts and their creativity and their dedication to all students with all different needs. One of the things that we explained when we were going for the award is that we had wanted to keep growing and keep doing more and more things. And one of those things was Unified Bocce. And I'm happy to acknowledge that we conquered that. Next thing on our checklist, or next goal that we reached. And we had our first this fall Unified Bocce team. And it was very, very successful. Again, I think we had about 40 members or so. So again, very successful, very fun, very popular. We also were lucky enough to host one of the bocce competitions. And it was just a great night for everybody. Really, really special night. Some happy tears, like, tears of pride, were really shed that day because we had so many people from the community. I think we had 4 or 5 different school districts here, and the media here, and a DJ here. And it was just a great event for everybody all the way around. So just here's some of our acknowledgement, and I know Mr. Lonich and I just had the pleasure a couple weeks ago of doing a podcast, and that podcast has been spread all around Western New York because everyone's heard about it through Special Olympics. We just made the Western New York Special Olympics page, and they tagged our podcast on that, and of course the Niagara Gazette and local media. This is just kind of showing you can see that in some states in the United States, there's only 3 or 4 schools in the whole state who have achieved this award. So we're really, really happy to be one of the dots on this map. So I wanted to show you guys the banner because we haven't unrolled it yet. I'm waiting. So we will very, very proudly be displaying this. And I want to have Michael, I want to introduce you to Michael Untelis and Veronica Rulli. Come on up, you guys. Here, I'll let you do the honors and photos. There we are. So Veronica Rulli and Michael Untelis are here tonight with their families. And these guys, I'm so glad they could come and take part of this because they have made this banner happen. Not we, the adults at this school, or not we, the coaches at this school. We help and we support, but Veronica and Michael and all of your friends in the hallways and in your classroom, you guys are the ones who really achieve this. And it's big, it's a national level. So I am so proud of you guys. Veronica and Michael participate in bocce, in bowling, and in basketball as well. And they have been around the program since the inception. So we are really, really happy and proud of them. And congratulations.
Next, this side over you can see too.
Okay.
That's great.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
So-
Thanks, Veronica.
Thank you guys to the school board, Mr. Lonich, Mr. Stack, for supporting all of our programs and endeavors.
I just know there's a new program out though, Unified.
We'll work on it.
Oh, God.
No,
Mike's got ideas. He's got big guys.
That's right. Thank you.
Board, as a board to, have this at our school, what a treasure it is. We thank you, all the people involved, the leadership staff, who make this happen, the kids involved. It really is a blessing to have here at Niagara Wheatfield, and very thankful for everyone who's made that happen, and for the acknowledgement now that the school has, which is great stuff. I don't know if anyone else on the board had any other comments. Otherwise, we'll take a little break for some refreshments, and once again, great job. Absolutely wonderful.
I also would like to thank all involved of working so hard to make a lot of people feel good about coming to school. I've been involved in it a little in my own personal life, and I know how hard it is. And I appreciate sincerely what I see there today. Because I know how important it is. Thank you.
We'll take a short intermission, for about 10 minutes or so to have some punch and refreshments, so please go help yourself.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone for coming and the punch and the cookies.
Is she giving this presentation?
We're gonna move on now to our CSEP presentation.
Great, so I'd love to, I don't know who's going first. Do we, okay, Edwardstown Middle School, Eleanor and Morgan. Step right up. And as they're coming up, as the board knows, we actually had our elementary admin team here the last meeting, and they presented their CSEP plans. So tonight you're gonna hear from both the middle school and high school.
Thank you. Wow, we have a tough act to follow. So thank you for your encouragement in this piece. We handed out 2 sets. We have the actual comprehensive school education plan for you, as well as our highlighted piece. So I'm just going to be referring to the highlights. Okay, because there are a lot of good things. And once again, thank you. And I also want to introduce you Morgan Johnson, the assistant principal, and you'll hear from her as well in this. As you know, in the middle school, our mantra has always been everyone belongs. All kids belong. All parents, all teachers is an encompassing. We are the hub for our activities and for our kids to be kids. And so what we do is from there, we provide not only academic opportunities, but we also provide them, we look at the whole child. We look at academics, social, and emotional. And oftentimes we're in the background working on those pieces with them. So when we look at our goal 1, which is cultivating a safe and supportive environment, let's look at the pieces that this district has supported and really embedded, because over and over, I hear parents constantly talk to me saying, I feel that my kid is safe with you. And it's because of the safety measures that we have in place. As you know, when students enter our buildings, they go through the weapons detection. We also have 1 point of entry. From that 1 point of entry, they're held in an encased hallway so that they can't move freely. And anyone coming into the middle school also has to pass the weapons detection. What we also have too is a full-time SRO and a part-time SSO. They have been just a wonderful addition to our middle school. They have embedded themselves into our culture. They know things about kids that many would not know if they were not there every day. And kids feel so safe with them that they do share a lot of different things and a lot of aspects about their lives. Our safety drills as well, and we practice, as you know, our fire drills. We also practice our lockdowns. So there are shelters in place. So there's many different things that we do throughout the day so that the students and throughout the school year, so that the students and staff know what to do. As you know, we had a little, an incident with our lockdown, and it was really amazing that students and staff knew exactly what to do, how to do it. So the practice that we have done does make perfect. And it was perfect for our staff. Our technology integration with our Zero Eyes as well that we've implemented, our Raptor system, that too has really enabled us to really monitor who is coming and going on our campuses as well. And our ongoing training, we do have our tabletop coming up shortly in January, where we share and walk through some possible situations with our law enforcement. So it helps also for teachers and staff to ask those types of questions. Not only, as I said, when we look at our children, we look at the whole child. Our Student Support Center has been an asset to many of our families in providing food, clothing, toiletries, glasses, anything they need. So that has really helped with our attendance. We have parents that we support. And I think it's one of those components that and pieces that makes Niagara Wheatfield just a special place because not many other places have those types of things. Another great component, I'll show you some pictures, is our web where everybody belongs. It is a transition program that we have 8th grade leaders who take in and help transition our 6th graders coming in from 5th grade. It's a great program. It's all year long, so it's not that we do, ooh, this is the one assembly and that's it. All year long, we have about 4 or 5 activities that our web leaders and 6th graders come together so that they become part of our ETMS family. And as I said, we provide that assistance. And here's some pictures. So here's 2 of our club leaders, as well as the whole group of our 6th graders. Now, let me tell you a little funny story about those Falcons. As you know, those are the windows that are outside our cafeteria. And in the last 3 years, and me, I've actually walked into the windows because I'm telling you, our cleaning staff does an amazing job that I can't tell you how many thumps I've heard. And I actually did it too. And I was like, all right, we need to do something. So we, through the cafeteria, we've put some of our stencils around the windows. They look fantastic. It's great. And you know what? No one has walked into those windows. Thank you. In goal 2, we're looking at learning. The beautiful thing this year is our PLCs, which are professional learning groups, and our communities. We have our facilitators. We have gone back to the basics of looking at instruction. We're looking at how well are we doing? We're having those types of conversations with our teachers, and we have the teacher leaders to do that. We're only 2, but having those extra department folks assisting with the work this year, and thank you to Jen Golize, thank you, in your department. We have had valuable instruction talks about instruction. Where do we need to be? What are those things that we need to do? From that, we've also looked at, new programming. How do we provide this instruction? Is what we're doing effective? So it really gives us those components of data-driven instruction and putting those pieces together this year. We are still recognizing our students with Student of the Month. We're recognizing our students. It's interesting. We recognize them on their birthday. And it's interesting on the days that they don't hear their name or they're like, Mrs. Payne, my name wasn't called. And I'm like, you're right, we're gonna fix that. It's one of those things, the students want to know that you know them. The students want to know that you recognize them. So those are some of those little things that we oftentimes take for granted that really mean a lot. We have our after-school activities. We have such a diverse clubs and activities that we have for our students, that students can participate. We have chess club, game club, GSA, jazz band, newspapers, STEM club, student council. I mean, the list goes on and on. And it's amazing that in the past, we've had oftentimes difficulty filling those clubs with advisors. Not this year. Teachers see the value. Teachers in our building are just amazing with the types of clubs that they're offering, because a lot of those clubs actually come from ideas of students. And then the teachers come to me and say, I'd be willing to do that. So just fantastic. And as you can see, with learning's not just by sitting at your chair. Learning is about doing. Learning is about, having those thoughtful conversations with your students, among students. In the corner, we also have students, if you can see Assemblyman Marinello, what we've done is there's a summer reading program. Last year, we only had 1 student who participated. This year, we had 3 students. So if I figured, we multiplied by 3. Next year, I'm hoping for like 10. That's my goal. But I mean, students are motivated. They're motivated to be there, they're motivated to learn, and you know what? They're motivated to do extra, so that's important. We do offer our accelerated programming in the middle school. So we have our accelerated classes in science and math. We look at our math acceleration. If a student was not recommended for 7th grade accelerated math, doesn't mean that they can't be recommended for 8th grade algebra for that. So there are always opportunities for students to accelerate if they're committed to do that. One of those great things that we did this year is we have a continuum of service in our special ed department. There was an 811 program in the elementary school and a 811 program, 12-1 in the high school. However, we did not have one in the middle school, and now we do. So that program will be growing. We have students, we have a continuum of service where our students can stay here. They can stay home in our home school and be part of that. So we're really excited about that too. And we've had also, as I mentioned before, our curriculum updates, new textbooks, teachers are invigorated. They want to know, they want to change, they want to do better. And they're just amazing. They just put in 110 every day for our students. And if you have not seen our technology suite, it is incredible. The learning, I walk in there every day, the learning that happens. We have our shop, which is in the bigger picture, just amazing. We have our, on the top is our computer lab. As soon as we have, if you notice the big laser printer that we have. And also we have our classroom that has the all the robotics, Legos, Vex. We have also our CAD. So we are moving forward and preparing our students for what's coming up, and particularly and feeding into the high school as well. So we're looking at that programming 6-12 rather than just, hey, this is just middle school and this is just high school. How do we expand that? So if you haven't had an opportunity to come and see those rooms, please come. I'm gonna let now Morgan, she's gonna share with you about character education and our restorative justice.
Okay, so we have our monthly character education. We do, each month there are 2 character traits that we work on, and then we use those character traits to then promote students for Student of the Month. And then we do that, we do Student of the Month breakfast every 3 months. So we have a character education, it goes on our morning announcements, it works into the daily curriculum with the classes, and also as well as the club. So the clubs build with the character, and it's goes throughout the entire curriculum and the entire school day. And then we recognize the kids that are nominated by their team. So there's 3 6th grade teams, 2 7th grade, 2 8th grade, and then we have our special 15-1 team. And then we recognize them through morning announcements. I do a student lunch bunch for those students who have their character or met the character traits requirements, who have been passing all their classes, including specials. We recognize and acknowledge those students at various points throughout the school day with their pictures and announcements. And then with restorative practices, restorative justice, we have been doing morning circles, or not necessarily morning circles, but circles in our classes. I know Mr. Azzarella has been working with his classes in the 6th grade team, especially doing those. I think it's 2nd and 3rd period, he's been doing those. And then like re-entry meetings for like suspensions or just conflict resolution. We've been working with restorative practices and having circles with students, having circles with staff, trying to build connection and welcoming an environment with throughout the building and our culture in our building. So then we're also doing training. So we have monthly meetings with that. We have a restorative practices team that meets monthly. And then we push out training to the staff. And we just recently did a circle. Our team did a circle during our staff meeting. And then we were able to have the faculty observe that circle and see how it goes. And we got a lot of interest with that. There were a lot of questions, and teachers want to see how they can implement that, and low level, surface level questions, but then hopefully to grow and do it more regularly within our buildings.
And little do they know that we're doing it every staff meeting, so that's every faculty meeting, so it's wonderful.
And something, a mantra in the last few years that we used, is be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. Those are the last three things that the students hear every morning to remind them about choices and being mindful of what respect is. And we've talked about in, early on in September, what does it mean to be respectful? What does it mean to be responsible? And what does it mean to be safe? And here's some of those activities that we've done with our students, as you know, with our Orange Shirt Day. We've just encompassed everyone. We just want to make sure that everybody is welcome. We have our administrative talks as well as our open houses where we share things about our school. Oftentimes, we just need to let people know, we need to showcase what we do because oftentimes we don't have the ability to do that. Something that's really wonderful is that through this, we have a STEM and technology integration. We have clubs, we have our technology integrator as well as, and then our Go Guardian. So let me give you a story. So students in the past, they've gotten their Chromebooks and obviously the teacher says, please go on to this, this is what you need to do. What do you think some students are gonna do? Go play on different tabs, right? Oh, and the teacher would be like, no, I see you, and teacher's like, how do we monitor that? How do we monitor that? Something called Go Guardian. The teachers now have the ability on their own computer to monitor where the students are on their Chromebooks. So it has cut down on a lot of behaviors. I'm gonna be honest with you, the discipline on that is like almost to zero. Because teachers are monitoring, the students know that they're being monitored, and they know that they have to be where they need to be. We have a tech integrator now with all the wonderful apps that we have, AI, our tech integrators. We have two in our building, Ken Fick and Tim Gailey. And what they do is they work with teachers on how to integrate the technologies in their daily lessons. Like, how do you incorporate these things? How do you use AI? How do you use like a PowerPoint or Google Slides? And it's just so nice to have some easy access right there in your classroom. And with our STEM clubs, we have so many kids that are so interested. We have a brick cube, which is problem solving through Legos. So you have to create the environment and build it with a Lego. So it's really innovative, and students want to be part of that, part of the piece. It's in the world that we live in.
And our third goal is strengthening community engagement. We are fortunate to have a HSA. They organize all sorts of activities that bring the families and the school staff and the community together. They help with fundraising. Our big events this year was the fall dance. So much student participation. The students loved it. They're like, well, we should have one every month. No. And then next week we start our winter shop, the holiday shop, so students can buy gifts for their friends and family. Our HSA has worked really hard by getting things to sell for like really low cost, so all students can participate in that. We also have our students in our Junior National Honor Society. They contribute to the community by, doing various can collection that helps support our food pantry. They did, we had doing a pajama drive for the Liam Lynch Memorial. They also did a coat drive. So our National Junior Honor Society and our various activity clubs are very working with the community to raise funds or collect goods to bring back into our community. And then lastly, we have our family communication, and we do regular updates with the families. Mrs. Payne sends out weekly Friday follow-ups to the families, weekly communication with the staff. We have meetings with families to keep them informed. We have open communication with families. So if a family wants to say, hey, I need to come in and talk to you, we're more than happy to have those parents and families come in just to have a conversation to know that, they're being heard, their voices are being heard. So we're working really hard with making sure we have a good family community connection between the school and home.
Questions? Need to know more? Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
You stole them, sorry. I mean, she kind of already did it for me, I'm just saying, third time's the charm. So, save the best for last.
Yes, it is.
I know most of you sitting here tonight. I'm Marissa Vuich. I'm the principal at the high school. I am joined. Oh, okay.
And over here.
I am joined by Erin Myers, Michelle Fiorella, and Jennifer Golias. I have the rest of my secondary team that had already presented and did it all for me, so thank you again. I know you heard from the elementary team a couple of weeks ago. Something really unique and special about Wheatfields is the fact that we make conscious decisions every summer when we revisit and look at all of the amazing things that we've accomplished, not just the past year, but over the course of the years. We talk about what it is that is going well, what it is that we want to continue, and then we break into our subgroups, which is elementary and secondary, and talk about how we're going to accomplish those goals. We've consistently had the same 3 main goals over the past 8 years or so, but when you're working towards something that's that powerful and important, you keep at it. You find new ways to achieve those goals and to reach people that maybe you weren't able to reach previously. So, you have to start with the most basic and important human need, which according to Maslow is safety, both physical and social emotional. If we don't feel safe, we're not able to receive any of the other things that we're given, which we do a really good job of giving everybody all the things that they need to be successful here. When you get past that, you move on to accelerating academic achievement, learning and programming for students. And then in order for families to want to engage with you and the school community at large to want to engage with you, you have to make sure that you have fantastic programming and that the entire community is aware of and feels safe enough to engage with you. So since you have heard about all of our goals from my elementary colleagues a couple of weeks ago and my middle school colleagues, just now, and you heard about all of the amazing things that our students at this level have been accomplishing with the support of all of the people that have worked to instill the skills and qualities that they need. I'm just going to highlight a couple of the nuances with respect to what this looks like at the high school level, if that's okay. Okay. So our goal is obviously the same. We are looking to cultivate a safe, healthy, inclusive, and supportive environment. Our first objective is to employ a proactive approach to safety and emergency preparedness. Again, the most important thing we do every day is make sure that we as a school community are safe and that all of our students and staff feel safe and able to be here. That is something that I am really proud of that we do here and we do it differently. I've had multiple conversations with community members in my own home community, with other educators across the state, and certainly with some of the people in this room about how impressed I am with what we do with respect to making sure that we are practicing the things, learning the things, having the conversations, working with law enforcement, researching new technologies and methodologies to make sure that everybody that walks into these buildings feels safe. And we all know that, there is nothing that is 100% foolproof, but the number of layers and plans and protective measures that we have here are incredible. And I'm really proud to be a part of that. And those are just some of those things that Mrs. Payne already talked about, and I'm sure the elementary team did too. The other side of that is obviously to support the social, emotional learning and well-being of our students and families. And I'm going to turn that over to another teammate. Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's the one.
Okay, Erin Myers, assistant principal at the high school. The second objective is to support social emotional learning and the well-being of our students and families. And increasing accessibility to counseling services and personnel is one of the, overarching themes of that. We are so lucky. Kara Kirk is absolutely amazing. So she runs our family support center, which everybody's kind of talked about, so I'm not going to talk more about it. But one of the things that she does really well is partner with agencies in our community to bring services to our students here. So we have a large number of students who receive individual mental health counseling at school. The counselors come in, they work with them with their schedules, so they're not missing academics, but it's a huge piece to students' overall well-being, and being able to do that here for them is amazing. We also have guest speakers come in with topics covering mental health, reproductive health, drugs, alcohol, etc. They come into our health classes, but some of our teachers also have guest speakers come in to address mental health with their students. Our junior ELA teachers do it a couple times a year. So, and then we do have an additional school counselor, which gives all of the counselors a smaller caseload, which means they can give more attention to their students. Fostering a positive school culture, implementing restorative practices at the high school. We have a number of teachers who run circles weekly with all of their classes. You'll see here, there's a couple quotes from students. In today's society, it is normalized to keep quiet and not express your true feelings about topics or personal experiences. But Circle has shifted that thought process, not only for me, but for many of my classmates. And another student said, Circle lets students hear how other kids and how they share some of the same struggles that normally wouldn't be talked about in everyday school. Obviously, that's just 2 students, but I think those are really powerful statements. Circle can be uncomfortable if you've ever been in one, if you're not used to that, it can be. But our teachers do a really great job of incorporating it into their daily lessons and weekly plans so the kids get used to it and learn how to communicate in that kind of manner. So we have community circles, which focus on building community, trust, and belonging. These are typical in the classroom. Restorative conversations, a lot of times the administrative team uses those with students and teachers if they're having an issue. We use them student to student, and then we've had some conversations with staff about how to implement those with students in their classrooms as well. And then healing circles used for significant harm, focusing on deep reflection and healing, providing a space to address serious conflicts and restore trust. We're not quite there yet in the process of implementing restorative practices at the school, but we're hoping to get there soon. It's a process. So the climate survey is through the restorative practices team. We created that. We gave it to faculty and staff and students last year. So we're in the process of reviewing that. And then I think we're going to push it out again soon to kind of see where we're at from last year to now. And then Invisible Mentor is a survey that goes out to students and staff. Students are able to identify adults in the building that they feel they have a connection to. So the survey has every adult in this building on it, and the kids can say, you know, I have a connection or I don't. It's a really great way for us to find those kids that maybe need to develop a connection with someone, and then we can hook them up with that adult to help them.
It's back to me. So like I said, our number one goal has to be for our students, staff, and community to feel safe so that they're able to receive the programming and we're able to accelerate learning opportunities for them. Something that we're working on this year and there's been conversation about is enhancing remedial academic support at the high school. In the past, I guess there was a pretty significant child study team, student support team. There's like a lot of different names for these teams, in which, you know, staff comes together, has conversations about how to both accelerate learning for students, how to intervene when there are issues, and how to push students further. So I think that sometime during the pandemic, I think that that system might have kind of unraveled a little bit, and those conversations kind of took place in a different way. In the meantime, district has invested a lot of time and energy in EduClimber. I know that that's been spoken to you about, actually, at the last board meeting that I was at last year as an elementary principal. I know that we talked a lot about a lot of the positive ways that it was impacting the culture at that level. And we've been having conversations with the school psychologists and the counselors at this point about how we can implement some of those strategies, share information, and use that platform as a way to start having more structured and more frequent conversations about how to academically accelerate all of our students. So hopefully by next year, when I come back and talk to you again about our child study team process and how we're, you know, accelerating our students' learning, both socially, emotionally, and academically, I'll have a lot more to share and hopefully even be able to pull up some details from EduClimber for you to view. Right now, we do offer science and math lab support. We do not have it every single period of the day, but we are able to offer that to some of our students that are struggling, that are identified based on quarter grades, teacher recommendations, counselor recommendations. We also we are also, sorry, it's getting late, able to offer AAIP and ASAP programs. AAIP is Academic Assistance Instruction Program. That's after school, and it's for students who are unfortunately not able to be with us during the school day because there are consequences in place. They get tutoring and support so that they don't fall behind in their academics. And then there is also ASAP, which is after school tutoring that is run through the counseling center. There are teachers that are able to support students around different academic areas, and there are National Honor Society students that also work as tutors. The second objective with respect to this goal is increasing effective communication. And that's something that when I gave a survey to my future staff in June, something that came up a lot. Staff said that they felt like they wanted to have more frequent communication. They wanted the ability to talk with their colleagues interdepartmentally, more time as a department, more conversation that was open and reflective and working towards solving problems with administration. It's something that I'm really proud of the things that we've got in place and think we will continue to just only grow. So we've been doing this right now through faculty and department meetings, team meetings, data-driven decision-making meetings, and cross-departmental collaboration. Essentially, we don't just have large-scale faculty meetings anymore. We've been working to make sure that we are meeting with each department every other month, every other month. I broke it down like that. So every department meets with administration every other month. We also have conversations about how things are currently going, what they'd like to see for the future. We are going to be moving those conversations more towards like, what do we need to be looking at for next year? We recently brought in curriculum instruction and technology. We've had special programs come in just so that we're all on the same page to really open up those lines of communication about what's going well, what needs to change, and how can we all work together to make sure that this is the best possible environment for our students and community. So I'm really proud of the work that we've begun, and I really think that it's just going to continue to make positive strides for our students. I know that there are, obviously other meetings. We meet with the counseling department. There are not structured SST meetings yet, but there will be. That's what we're working on. And at those times, we would also like to make sure that we're bringing conversations back to data-driven instruction, not just for like our PLCs or our departments, but also focused on that multi-tiered system of support with respect to counseling, like what other interventions are in place. And, the cool thing about the fact that that all of the buildings in this district have the same goals is that the work that we do is scaffolded, right? Like, so at the elementary school, it might look like, okay, we're having lunch bunches and we're building social emotional skills. And then when we get to the middle school, we're working on web and having meetings with administration at grade levels. Well, what does that look like here for us? So the kids have those basic skills. We gave those to them. Now, how do we utilize what we know that they've learned to make sure that they become the people we want them to be in the community when they graduate, which is their goal. So beyond that, I think that we're doing a really good job making sure that everybody is coming together to have positive communication. We mentioned PLCs, and I know that Eleanor also mentioned PLCs. It's just such a benefit to the school. We have PLC facilitators. Mr. Gillespie is one of them. Sorry. And the conversations that are able to be had both in the department meetings and then continued at those smaller meetings and supported by curriculum and instruction and technology and the technology integrators is huge. And it's going to do nothing but continue to academically accelerate our students, increase their test scores, and provide a better opportunity for them to continue to grow.
So Marissa and I think alike. When I started my new position, I also did a survey with the middle school and high school staff to talk about things that we could do to support their department. And it was a common theme between Marissa's survey and the survey that I did, that one of the areas that we needed to improve on was professional development opportunities for our secondary staff. So the third objective that we have is to increase professional development opportunities to work toward improving student performance. So the first thing on the list, there's just some highlights of some of the things that we've done, is artificial intelligence. At the beginning of the school year, Kelly Stopa, our teacher on special assignment, worked with the secondary staff to learn about how they can use artificial intelligence in their professional life, and also talked about ethics and using ethics with artificial intelligence with students and helping students how to learn how to use it because it's there in the world, how to use it ethically. Another thing that we've been working on this year are the new science standards. Those are coming. They've been working their way up K-8, and now they're coming up into the high school, and we're going to be starting to have the new exams next year. The courses are changing. It's not living environment anymore. It's going to go back to biology. It's not earth science. It's going to be earth and space science. And it's really changing from just learning about the content and having an understanding of that to being able to look at maybe 6 or 7 documents to analyze them, come up with theories, prove them, test them out. So it's a whole different level on the standards. So we have had Jessica Kaufman coming in from Erie-Wimbosi. She's a content specialist, and she's been working with teachers up at the high school and the earth science teachers in the middle school. They're going to join in when she does the earth and space group. And they've been looking at some of the clusters that have been released from the regions and talking about how they can make parallel tasks to have the kids have instruction that's aligned with the standards. We also have a lot of teachers participating in the regional Erie-Wimbosi consortiums, which has teachers from all across the area who meet 4 times during the school year. And they talk about standards, they talk about best practice, and they share ideas between buildings. And this year we have teachers participating in the art, health, ELA, and science consortiums. We also have the building-based tech integrator, which I know that we talked about. It's Don Stokowski at the high school level, and he participates in technology integrator forums as well at BOCES, and comes back and learns about technology and comes back and brings that to the high school. He's doing professional development after school. He's also a person that during the day, people can come and talk to. He has a session that has 16 teachers that are meeting before break after school. So that's a pretty good turnout, I would say, to take advantage of his knowledge and expertise. And building-based tech integrators have been helping us out on professional development days so that we can provide targeted professional development. Also, the PLC facilitators are involved in our professional development opportunities. They run sessions on superintendent conference days, but also in terms of that communication that Marissa was talking about, when they're talking with their teams and they're bringing back when they meet with us and say, you know, we could really use support in this area, or this is something that the team brought up. Can we learn more about it? And then we're able to target our professional development to teachers' needs. And then we have a lot of new instructional technology for the high school and the middle school this year. And so a lot of the professional development has focused on some of the new products that we have and the ability to use those. And just 5 of the new things there are listed there. So that's really great that we have an opportunity for more technology in the classroom. Right. Another part of professional development that you're going to hear us talk about a lot in the coming years is the Blue Ribbon Commission. And we have not started to do professional development, but it's a goal because this is going to be a big thing. And we're starting it this spring at the high school level. But the Blue Ribbon Commission was a commission by the New York State, by NYSED, to look at our graduation requirements. And one of the things that they've done is there's going to be a decreased emphasis on the Regents exams for graduation requirement. So what they're going to do as they're moving forward and phase this in slowly is all students are going to have to demonstrate proficiency in each component of something called the Portrait of a Graduate to earn the high school diploma. So if you see up there, each of the different wedges are part of the Portrait of a Graduate. So you're thinking, we want to develop critical thinking, innovative problem solving, literate across the content areas. So instead of passing an exam, they're going to have to show that they have proficiency in those areas. So that's a lot of work we're going to have to do. First thing we have to do is talk about with professional development is what exactly is a critical thinker? What does it mean if a student is culturally competent? And how do we have students demonstrate proficiency in that area if there's not an exam, if it's a project? So that's going to be a lot of work that we're going to be doing, and we're going to start that conversation with and do professional development in January. But I wanted to talk about it because we're going to be talking about it a lot over the coming years. So, as I said last time when I was with the elementary, would be remiss when we're talking about a goal that talks about academic achievement for students to not talk about data. So last time that I was here with the elementary, we talked about the combined ELA for grades 3 through 8 and the combined math for grades 3 through 8. So that's why I'm kind of coming here with the high school this time, because we have not talked about any high school data. So the first thing, we're all here for kids to graduate. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about was the graduation rate and just look at over at time. As a side note, New York State had us just do a regionalization survey, which had districts, we had to answer like 248 questions, but it all required all schools across the state to look at data in the same way and compare it in a consistent, standardized way. So it's really interesting because it allows us to compare the state average and you can see what other schools are doing. So some of this data here is going to be from the state report, and this is one of the ones. They wanted us to look at our 4-year graduation rate, and when we talk about a 4-year graduation rate, it's looking at the 9th graders, and then looking at August of the year that they would graduate within 4 years, and looking to see what percentage of those students graduated. So we had to look at it from 2017 up to 2023, and then we had to look at it to say, are we at the state average? Are we somewhat below the state average? Somewhat above the state average, or are we more than 10 points above or below the state average? So that's what we looked at. And as you can see, we're pretty consistent in our graduation rate, moving usually in the low 90s. And we are at the state average. And it will be interesting as we're talking about that with the Blue Ribbon Commission, where graduation is not so dependent on the Regents exam, that we'll be able to move that number up as kids who might not be good at taking tests, but can demonstrate their proficiency in other ways. Right, so again, this comes from the survey that we had to do. So when you're looking at that, there's 4 years of data there, but they're not consecutive because New York State requested us for certain years. So this is looking at 2015, 2016 on the left-hand side. And then 2018, 2019 is the black on the left-hand side. So if you think about it, that left-hand, the first 2 columns are pre-pandemic. And then we had 2 data points to look at, the light gray, which is 2022, 2023. And then the red is last school year, 23, 24. And then there were 3 different exams that they wanted us to look at across the state, which was the ELA, Common Core exam, the Algebra 1, and then the Earth Science. So it looks at it over time. So let's start with the ELA, which is on the left. You can see in there that we're pretty consistent with pre-pandemic levels of passing on that exam. And one of the things when we look at the state, and we had to classify, are you at state average, 10 points above? For the ELA exam, we're 10 points above the state average. So looking at the Algebra 1, and I do want to point out before we get very far, is that 78 is a new exam. So that was the first time that the algebra exam was offered. So you're really not comparing apples to apples when you're looking at that. But just know that that 78 was, again, 10 points or more above the state average. Looking at the science, can see it's kind of up and down. And this will be interesting because this next June is the last time that we're going to be taking the same exam. It'll change to the Earth and Space Science exam in 2 years. So looking at that, again, when we had to look at our data point, we are 10 points above the state average.
Me again. So I just want to touch briefly on all of the engagement opportunities that we are able to offer to our family, students, and community. I think the most amazing example of what we strive to be as a school community is what we were fortunate enough to be here for earlier tonight with respect to the Unified Sports Team and just the impact it's had on the entire school community. And the joy that it brings, like literally everybody who participates in, gets to be a spectator at, or benefits from all of the services and student leadership that occurs in this community. I just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the ways that we are in fact communicating with families and consistently looking to improve and identify better and newer ways to make sure that we're reaching as many families as humanly possible. Right now, we utilize our school website. We share information on the website. You can see an October update up there every couple of months. I'm trying to make sure that I send out important bits of information to families with respect to the high school. The one that's up there right now is from October, and that has reminders for families about, just tips about how to help their students to be successful. Information that both students and parents can utilize with respect to, signing up for different opportunities within the school. There are other ones that have gone out with respect to college information and planning. Our counseling department is phenomenal. They bring in so many different universities and opportunities. We've had in the Air Force, just trying to make sure that every student has as much information as possible. And we want to make sure that families have access to that as well, while also recognizing that these are high school students and, they are fully capable of sharing the important things. We want to make sure that families know that we do welcome their input and do want them to understand what's going on inside, since it's kind of hard to get in based on our security. We do not use social media right now at the high school. However, athletics does a really fantastic job of that, and I wanted to make sure that I brought that up. All of our teachers and departments utilize Google Classroom for a variety of reasons, but families should absolutely feel comfortable to check out what their students are learning, what assignments are up there. We are also going to be linking some key e-coursework to our actual website, just to ease and facilitate an additional layer of support for students in that they are able to make sure that they're able to stay current with their coursework if they're not physically able to be in school due to illness or injury.
Hi, I'm Michelle Fiorella. I'm the other assistant principal. Tonight I get to share a little bit about parent and community involvement and engagement in our district and what we do at the high school. We do so many wonderful things, and it's great to have been able to see it over the course of the last few years. We do a freshman orientation every year for all of our new students. We do it in August before school starts, so that this freshmen coming into the high school get to see the building, have a copy of their schedule, get a walkthrough of what it's like in their locker and all the fun things about coming over to the high school. We have an open house that we hold every year in September for the families, for the parents to meet the teachers, to also see the student schedule in the school. We do parent and athlete information meetings. The athletic department does a very nice job with holding for each year for spring, summer, fall activities and sports, for holding a meeting and letting parents know the expectations and the requirements with the high school and with the athletic department. We do community engagement. We do various different games, soccer, basketball. They do hold different games to support different areas. The cancer, softball holds a cancer and sponsors a game. We have the Niagara Wheatfield, the high school parent engagement activities. We have community Thanksgiving feast, which is wonderful. We just had it 2 weeks ago, the last one. It's such an amazing event to see our students host a Thanksgiving feast for our families. The community comes in, their families. There's games. They make all of the meal. It's absolutely amazing to be a part of. And we also do the 12 days seasons of giving. Right now we're doing 12 days of giving, where the faculty and the staff donate stuff to the community and to our family support closet. We are also holding some opportunities for showcasing our students and the talents and the work that they're doing here within the community. We have our musical production, and we're this year absolutely wonderful and excited to have Mamma Mia, which will be in April. We'll be holding over at Niagara Community College because of the construction. We have vocal and instrumental concerts. We have one coming up in December 14th for our band concert. We have our yearly senior art show that is absolutely wonderful and amazing to see our students and how talented they are and all the work that they do throughout the 4 years that they've been here in high school, and they showcase their work. It's amazing. And at that event, they also show their stained glass, and each year they create a piece of this stained glass that they work on throughout the year, and they show that and display that at the art show. It's unbelievable. The students are so proud. Their families come. Community members are here. It's a great opportunity for the kids to showcase their work. And then we always have Student of the Month here at the high school that the counselors and the teachers will vote and pick a Student of the Month and showcase them here. We also provide many different opportunities throughout the school year for involvement, creating programs and activities that encourage and participate with leadership and collaboration for enhancing their engagement in the school. We have a freshman, as I said before, freshman and new student orientation where they get to come in and see the building. The counseling center offers career center events, various throughout the year. We have the wonderful homecoming event that we have here. It's a whole week of fun activities, and then our homecoming dance. We have a holiday spirit week. It's great to see the students and the faculty and staff get involved in. Student council holds many pep rallies. We have, over the course of several years, had the beautification of our building with various signs throughout, in and outside of our building, to navigate the building and display how to get around, and it's actually wonderful. We have a lot of student-centered activities and clubs. The National Honor Society each year, the class of 2024 this year, but each year the class hosts various different activities and fundraisers throughout the year. And then this year we also have our Interact Club.
So when talking about student engagement, one way that we could measure that and talk about data around that would be our students coming to school. So this graph really looks at our chronic absenteeism rate, which is one of the things that we want to look at and monitor, because we have an overall attendance rate, but what is the percentage of kids who are chronically absent? So you define chronically absent as missing more than 10% of school. So when you think about that, that works out to be about 18 days of school missed throughout the year. So you can look at that. They did not count that and track that during COVID. So if you look at the left side of the graph, it's pre-COVID. And if you look at the right side of the graph, that's post-COVID. And you can see a very big difference between those two sides of the graph. Before COVID, we were at about 15% for our chronic absenteeism rate. New York State as a whole is above that. They were at 18%. But after the pandemic, there's been a huge increase of chronic absenteeism across the state. It's one of the things that the state is looking at, and we have taken a lot of steps with clubs and activities and everyday labs to try and work on that. Last year, we were at 30% at the high school, and the state average is 34% chronic absenteeism rate. So if you think about that, that's like 1 out of every 3 kids is missing more than 18 days, which is too much. And year to date, when we look at that, we are trending a little bit better than last year, but we're still at that 28% up until, that doesn't mean they've missed 18 days of school yet. It just means they've missed 10% of the days that we've had. So it's really a lot of work with looking at kids, identifying kids, going through that multi-tiered system of support that Marissa was talking about, and examining our processes for that to try and help to lower that number down. Right, I think that was the last one. So were there any questions?
Yeah, John, you said the state's doing a study on this absentee. They're just used to taking time off because of COVID after, or are these kids getting really sick? I mean, maybe you don't have the answer. It's a tough question for you. But
It's a variety of reasons, and honestly, you know, there are other things that play into that as well, like different, like poverty rate, familial attitudes and perceptions about school. sickness. I do think that to some degree, people have been more cognizant of the fact that nobody wants to catch your cold. I'm a little guilty of it myself. Somebody came in my office yesterday and said that they were around somebody who was sick. I'm like, whoa, whoa, I don't have time for that. So I mean, maybe that's something positive. We're not sharing our germs as much, but there are a variety of factors that do in fact go into that. And you know, chronic absenteeism tends to be an issue in certain areas, but I think that what the pandemic did was it kind of was like a stabilizer for the entire state, because it's not just certain schools or certain pockets anymore. It's more consistently what we're seeing. And I think a lot of that also has to do with the attitudes around school. A lot of students felt like they could just receive their education online. And didn't want to go back for a variety of reasons, because during those developmental years, they maybe didn't have access to their friends. They didn't feel connected to people. So there's not one answer, sorry.
No, I don't think there's one answer. I do absolutely believe that, the societal norm for, going to school when you weren't feeling well has changed. It was tipped upside down, right? I don't know about you, Rick, but I know whenever I was a kid, and I was probably guilty of with my kids, when they were young, you're going to school. You're going to school, right? You're going to school, right? And if you had a fever and you gave them Tylenol and the fever was gone, the fever was being masked by the Tylenol, but you sent them to school. We don't do that. And I think that it certainly has had an impact on this. Also, once the kid's sick or deemed to be sick, they're not out just for a day. They're out for multiple days until that fever is completely gone. And I think in the past, you send them back after the day, right? You know, that was again, much greater part of the norm. So I think that absolutely is impacting those numbers. But at the end of the day, you know, chronic absenteeism isn't somebody getting COVID once in a year. It's not, I was sick for 4 days and out, right? You have to be sick 10% of the time. So you have to miss 18 days to be chronically absent. That's just way too many. And you know, we gotta continue to work to get people back. And you know, Jen mentioned one of the pieces of software that we use to help with that. It's helping. We certainly think that makes a difference. The thing that makes the biggest difference is the teachers every single day, right? Kind of encouraging them, pushing them, wanting, you know, showing that they want them there and want them back. Interesting, right? Chronic absenteeism at the elementary level is completely the responsibility of the parent. At the middle school, it's almost completely the responsibility of the parent. When they get to high school, there's a little bit more choice involved there. And, you know, it's a little bit harder probably for a parent to get a student to go and to move. And we certainly, our administrators, our counselors, our teachers work with families where we see that chronic absenteeism, trying to encourage kids to come back to school. What's amazing is on the other side of this, you still have kids who have perfect or almost perfect attendance, right? So it's interesting, and it's certainly something that's gonna take, I think it's gonna take some more time to, for that cultural norm that I believe has shifted, just shift back, or at least shift back to a degree that's more noticeable than the 6%, whatever that was, that it's come down, you know, put back up there, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I just agree with both of you. COVID changed that. And if I hear a cough where I work, man, I'm away from it. And as soon as the people leave, I'm washing my hands, where probably didn't happen 5 years ago.
That's
So
right.
I understand it.
Yeah.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, I don't believe anyone signed up for residence comments, correct? Anyone from the floor? Okay. Moving on then to the consensus agenda items. Hopefully a motion to accept the consensus agenda items as presented. Motion seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Are we gonna separate anything for the, no? Okay. All right, then I'll call for a motion to accept the personnel items as presented. Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to standing committees, update from the capital projects committee.
Yes, today we had our capital project meeting. We met with the engineering group. And we actually went over and looked at the middle school tech lab, and the lab. And it is amazing. It's what a difference it was from when we first walked in before and we said we had to do something here to what it is now. It's really nice to see so organized and new and really student friendly with the way they're gonna learn there. We did also go over and see the auditorium. It's kind of like an outdoor auditorium right now, but we did see the foundation that's been set in place, so it's starting to take a little shape, and hopefully going forward, we'll see some really changes over in that area. Other than that, we didn't have too much other to discuss.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see here, no external communications, ex officio student members report, Jonah.
Ever since, I guess since mentioned the last time, the chicken lunch, there have been a lot of great comments made about the food and the staff and everything. And I definitely noticed a lot more kids getting lunch and breakfast and longer lines. So that's a big thing going on. A lot of kids are, I guess, just indulging lunch. It's very good to see. And then the other thing, the whole bathroom situation with the vandalism and I guess keep facing, it's sort of mellowing out, at least from my perspective. A lot of students are, I guess, coming to terms with it, and as opposed to tension being in the air, between students or between students and staff. It's definitely coming to a halt, at least from what I've heard. And obviously, there are still some complaints from some students who want more bathrooms open, but I think this isn't the best way to do it. It's just with time, and students and people in general they'll come to terms with what they have to. So, that's better.
Okay, thank you. For the president's report, I don't have too much other than thanking Bob for running last meeting in my absence. And congratulations once again to the Unified Sports on the recognition that they had received. And to the superintendent for his report.
Thank you, and shame on me, our board president gave me a little tap and a nudge, is one of the items on the board agenda tonight under personnel was Eleanor Payne, and her reception of tenure tonight. So I can only say that it's been a pleasure having you as part of our district leadership team. You've done a great job so far at the school, and I know you have a lot of work still to do. And you have a new partner over there who you're doing that work with, but you have a really great staff over there, and I know you're doing a lot of good work together. So congratulations now that the vote's been had. Next, I want to mention our Family Support Center. By the way, for those that don't know, Julie, one of our board members, has been working with Kara Kirk, who runs the sports center, and helping out a little bit over there. I know that Julie's actually taken some donations and done some work like that for the Family Support Center, which is really great, especially this time of year with all the different things that support center does for our school community. Yesterday, I believe it was, I was able to attend one of the monthly Leader in Me presentations, student leadership presentations. Again, the students play a huge role in this, the 5th grade students at Western Elementary School. And it was a holiday themed Leader in Me presentation. And what was really, really cool, and I gotta give props to John Campanella, who is one of our school security officers, former New York State Trooper. He was there, he took part. There was also someone there called Johnny Jingles, who students believe is also school security officer Campanella. He was very clear to them that they're two separate people, but he was there helping with this incredible event. Let me just, I bring that up to say this. Our school security officers, our school resource officers, they've just been an extra added layer in our school community with of support, of connection, of engagement with kids, and it's been nothing but positive for our school district. Bob already talked about the capital project meeting. I just want to take a minute to talk about a study that was done. I think I spoke about it here at a board meeting before, and that is the Rockefeller Institute did a study. They were tasked with this study from the governor's office. The governor asked the Rockefeller Institute to look at New York State aid and funding and make some recommendations on how that aid could be done differently, could be done better, could be done in a more equitable way, understanding the amount of money that is put into education in New York State. I provided for the board members a number of items that came from a statement. Now remember, this just came out, and the New York State Council of School Superintendents and the New York State School Board Association both have already commented on this. I think it's a 315-page document. Okay, it's a pretty long, pretty comprehensive study. I skipped through to the recommendations page. There were about 140 something pages before that. I skipped through that and just wanted to look at the recommendation side. But some of the recommendations that are coming from the New York State Council of School Superintendents related to the study include the following. The study recommends what NISCUS believes are sensible steps to improve outdated measures of student poverty and regional cost differences. The council also welcomes recognition of the value of stability and predictability. You've heard us talk about that here in aid formulas. The predictability piece is a big one in New York State. There are states that have an idea ahead of time, like a couple years ahead of time, of what their aid is going to be 2 years down the road. We never do. We find out in April, what right around April Fool's Day, what our aid numbers are going to be. Okay, we're one of the only states that's how that gets their numbers that late in the process. The New York State Council of School Superintendents concurs with the recommendation from the Rockefeller Institute regarding this separating the special aid funding for special education and doing that outside of the foundation aid formula. So that did show up in this study. We've talked quite a bit here about special education funding and how that's increased for districts, and that those are required costs, and for them to be part of the foundation aid formula just isn't fair. It's not right. As a matter of fact, it would never do it here, but it could make districts think about, how do we want to fund this? No, there's IEPs that determine what the kids need, and we need to fund that, right? That's the way it's supposed to be. The council also appreciates the recommendations for state support for student mental health services, and in transitioning to zero emission school buses. In other words, if it's going to be something we have to do, then the state needs to find a way to make sure that it's paid for. The one thing that the council opposed were the recommendations to cut the foundation aid, particularly through the reductions in the Save Harmless funding. Now, I gotta tell you, I have personally mixed feelings on that to this degree. Our district, a number of years ago, and a lot of you sat here, Okay, as we were saying, we aren't fully funded in foundation aid. We still aren't fully funded. We still aren't fully funded. I felt like I was coming back saying that every year. While there were other districts who were fully funded. And they were fully funded and then got an extra percents on top of that. Okay, so. If given the choice between following the formula and then making sure that districts are made whole. I'd wanna make sure that our district's always made whole before other districts who are receiving more than what the foundation aid formula says they should receive that funding. Everybody get that? That said, the criticism or the critique coming from the council, and also I read from NISBA today, is that what's not taken into account here, and this is in the Rockefeller Institute study, is that there's a lot of costs associated with public education today that weren't in place 5-10 years ago. Whether it has to do with, and you heard a lot of them here tonight, talking about student safety and all the increases in costs there. When it comes to special education costs, which continue to rise. When it comes to helping students that, coming from poverty situations. So there's so many things, when it comes to mental health services, like all of those costs are extra added costs that there's an expectation for schools to help work with and deal with, that there just hasn't been any consideration given to on the financial side. So I know that's a lot. The report, everybody on the board does get the NISBA emails. They've done a really nice job of breaking it down as well. I encourage you to take a look at what they've said, how they've broken it down. They also have a copy of the full study from the Rockefeller Institute there. Eventually, I'll get to the first part. I just wanted to make sure I got to all the recommendations first. You go ahead.
The pre-K, have they ever did any studies on that?
So one of the things that I asked, and there were a few of us who asked to be part of the NISCUS legislative priorities this year, has to do with pre-K and pre-K funding for transportation. So we'll see if that makes it to the NISCUS top 10 list.
Right.
Hopefully it does. One of the other things that we asked for was some separate funding to deal with school safety, mental health safety, law enforcement safety, any of those safety items. But we were asking for a separate funding line for that.
Are they looking at possibly changing the formula for aid to the schools?
So the goal, the governor's goal was to have the Rockefeller Institute do a study and make recommendations about the formula. Now, there's a lot of recommendations in this formula, right? About the formula. Things as simple as quit using 2000 data when we're in 2024. Stuff like that, right? But there's also a lot of other recommendations. What I think is going to be really important for all of us to watch, and I'm going to say that I feel a little confident that they're going to be in no rush to grab these recommendations for this year. I feel that way. Because all of the recommendations from all of the groups, from NISBA to NISCUS, they're all saying the same thing, and that is this. You can't don't start picking out little pieces of the study and say, oh, I like just this recommendation. Because these recommendations were encompassing. In other words, understanding that there's a lot of moving pieces. And if you just pick one and change that, well, that might just be good for this group over here, but really bad for this group, especially if you're pulling the funds for this group from this group. So there's a lot of moving parts and moving pieces. So it'll be interesting to see how much, if any, of this they use for a budget that's being developed already and that will be out usually by the first week of February. That's when the governor's budget is usually out. So I just don't know how much this information can truly inform that decision for this year.
We shall see.
Oh, and they shut me off. They just said, no.
Oh.
No, last thing, because this is our last meeting before the holidays. I want to say happy holidays, everyone. Okay?
Thank you for your report. Any items for board discussion? Old business, new business? Public comments? No? Okay. Any board member comments before I close?
Like Dan, safe holidays, drive home tonight, and be careful, it looks like it's a little snowy out there. Merry Christmas to everybody.
I'd like to say the same thing, and Merry Christmas to everyone. I'd like to thank you for your presentation tonight. Biggest thing I see, and I'd seen it in the other time, mid-grade school, was that we don't stand to stay at one point, we're always trying to improve ourselves, and I think that's the best way that we're gonna go forward, and I see it that from when I started here to now, the progress we've made. It's pretty incredible, and I think the way you're going, we're gonna go even higher, so thank you for all the work that you do.
Okay. So again, congratulations to Eleanor. Plenty of cookies and punch for anyone who was brave this long meeting tonight. But thank you again for coming out and your presentations. And Merry Christmas to everyone. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.